Okay, today I'm in the racing post offices with Ross BRIERLEY. Thanks very much for agreeing to talk to me today, Ross. Come down from Leeds especially. Racing journalist, broadcaster, previously a professional punter, still I assume a successful punter, and stand-up comedian. Now that last one's a bit of a wild card in this little Yankee, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit, yeah. I think it kind of is and it isn't. I mean, it is in the way that it's very different from the others in terms of industry, but in terms of trying to do something a little bit different maybe, I think it probably ties into it. Just trying not to have a normal job since I left university, I think it fits in with that.
Yeah. So which one would best describe you at the moment? I mean, what of that lot, which is your main...
Good question. This is the problem I often have, is I kind of just have to describe myself as a jack of all trades, really. And my missus was taken to calling me a horse personality when people asked what I did. I used to say I was an equine investor, so people wouldn't pick up on the word gambler. But yeah, a bit of everything. I mean, I haven't actually done a comedy gig for about, well, just over a year now. But I did that for 10 or 11 years. And like I said, the punting is no longer, that used to be a good chunk of my income. So now I guess probably, yeah, racing broadcaster probably covers it, yeah. Content creator. We're all content creators now, Simon, aren't we?
We are. So when we were talking about this before, you said that you no longer call yourself a professional punter, but you also told me that you won enough in your time to buy and renovate a house. So by anybody's standards, that's pretty successful.
Yeah, I had a good... So I guess, 2011, I went freelance, and basically I had a right old bet come in. I was working at William Hill Radio at the time, sort of full-time. I started there after uni, gone to uni, journalism degree, didn't really know what I was going to do, thought I was going to go off and be a proper journalist, covering big stories and everything, but then got a job at William Hill in the call centre, and part of that, it was like 2 or 3 weeks training course. You need to know everything, so that when someone rings up and says, can I have a 50p Union Jack at Perth, you're not asking what the hell are you talking about, mate, you can just go straight into it. So we learned everything, and then we obviously spent all day, whenever I was doing shifts, you'd watch football, you'd watch horse racing, and you'd get the racing post, and I was just absolutely fascinated by it. So then after uni, I kind of got some work experience. Basically, I turned up until they gave me a job, and then learned everything. I had podcasts, presenting, Pundit. And then 2011 got to the point where I thought, well, I'm doing this job about as well as everyone who's doing it professionally and sort of freelance. And then, won about a year's wages in a day and thought, okay, this is the chance to...
So how did you win it?
It was 3 horses. It was Sans Frontières at Newmarket with the July Festival. It was a horse called Poppet's Lovin' at Warwick, and a horse called Hairspray at Epsom. That one was in the 9:10 at Epsom, and the other two were about 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So it was a long 6 hours. I also got the place pot paid bombs at Newmarket that day as well, and I backed them all individually, and they all won. I think on the early prices they were sort of 16s, 11s and 12s, I think, or something like that. And yeah, it basically all came off. And I just thought I'd been meaning to, right, let's use this. You know, when you're young and you've got no responsibilities, you can take those risks. So I thought, right, okay, let's do this. And I basically went into the office of my boss at the time at William Hill Radio and said, I want to do this. And he went, how was it taking you so long? I thought you'd be in the day you won it, kind of thing. And then I've been freelance ever since. So, and then from about 2011, I'd say up to sort of just before the pandemic, I'd say the punting was normally between 30 and 80% of my income a year. On a good year, it was right up there. But yeah, it was all that one bet. So I think it was about 38 grand on the day. And I just thought, well, that's tax-free. Worst comes to worst is I come crawling back with my tail between my legs a year later and go, "Can I have my job back, please?"
What was your angle that day? I mean, how were you coming up with your selections? And were you doing like multiples on a regular basis up until then?
Well, I mean, again, I don't want to be one of those people who, having watched quite a few of these, a lot of the comments are another person coming on saying the game's gone and all that. But obviously, the edges that I was using at the time were probably a bit easier to exploit. Speed figures in particular. I mean, you can go online and within 2 minutes you can pay for top quality speed figures or get them for free anyway. Back in those days, it wasn't that easy. And also, you know, like I said, you can watch videos on you can go on the Racing Post app now. This sounds like a plug because I'm in the offices. Like, you can go on the Racing Post app. And you can
Always
watch.
a comedian.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know if you can see, it never leaves you though. It's like riding a bike. You can go online right now and you can watch back replays of literally every single British and Irish video. You don't have to race. You can watch it time and time again. Again, it was just, if you put the work in, you could get an edge. And there was a few. So Sam Frontier had run in the Hardwick Stakes at Ascot, and it was a fantastic renewal. The speed figure was out of this world. It was a really eye-catching race, and it was. I could not believe it was double. It was dead 8-9 runners. It was double figures, and I think it was it was a classic race of one of Ballydoyle's, being this is their Ledger horse or whatever it is, and that taking chunks out of the market, and it was just a daft price, and I just knew that Hardwick was good form, and Poppet's Lovin' had similarly come out of a couple of really good races. It was just top on the figures with two runs, really eye-catching runs. And again, was sort of 8-9 runners, double figures. And I thought, well, this is just a great bet. And then Hairspray I'd spotted running beforehand at Leicester and thought that was a big eye-catching run. I love a horse with an eye-catching return to action, mid-division, you know, not handbrake on necessarily, but one where you think, oh, okay, that's going to really improve next time out. And everything just looked right, and it was at Epsom. Chris Catlin was rode Epsom really well. Again, Shannon trained it. It was another one of those Shannon horses that people think, your Shannons, your Fahey's of this world, because they run 7, 8, 9, 10 times a year, people don't take the time to wash them back and dig into the form lines. So I think they're often good angles as well, the slightly more exposed trainer. So yeah, it was speed figures and video analysis, and it just happened to come off on the day, and I thought, all right, this is a sign.
Okay, now you're a disciple of Nick Mordin and Andrew Beyer. Is that for the pronunciation, or Beyer?
I think it's Beyer figures, yeah. Well, again, it was one of those things that, like, I mean, Nick Mordin is, I don't know what Nick's doing now. Apparently
he's in Hong Kong, and I've been trying to track him down.
Really?
Yes, but I've not managed it yet. Hence the
Nick, you need to do.
But he would be good. I mean, why do you?
Simon, I've just got sorry. Oh, you're you, Nick. Simon, you need to go and talk to Nick and do that, because I used to his pieces in the Weekender, where he would take a wild theory and follow it to the ends of the earth, were fantastic. And Mordin on time and Beyer on speed. When you're just getting into something, they felt like holy grails. They felt like someone had written something that let you into a secret. And it just made so much sense at the time. I was like, oh yeah, I'm trying to predict winners of races, and I'm using every other factor in the book apart from the actual time of the race. And again, I'm recycling that line in the column that I sent you, but it is like, you wouldn't be like, what a fantastic performance in the 100 metres, and people would be like, but we don't know how quick he's gone, and we've got no comparison. So I remember reading that and thinking, oh, well, me and a friend at the time were like, well, we'll give it a crack. We'll try and make our own figures. And so my email address includes the horse Reverence in my email address, because he was the first one. We started doing them, and the back end of that first year, Reverence for Eric Alston won a Doncaster soft ground handicap in a time, like we were getting into it, like, wow, this is it, this is fantastic speed figure. And then went and won Nonthorpe's and Sprint Cups in bad ground, and he was like the first one that we latched onto, which really paid his way. and made us think, okay, this is the angle. So yeah, but those two books, I mean, even now, there is so much good information and good learning in there, and just fascinating angles, because that's what you're always looking for in the game. You are doesn't matter what the angle is, you're looking for something where someone else. The best angle in the world is when someone goes, nah, it's nonsense, mate, and then you go, okay, it might be nonsense or it might be genius.
And it's also video analysis you concentrate on.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I think that's absolutely huge. Again, I think you've got every race at your fingertips, and while every horse is doing their best, should we say, in theory, you can just learn so much from going back and watching a race. In the moment, you probably have the narrative of the race in your head, and you might have backed one, you're probably watching the one you've backed, you maybe might be watching the favourite if it's a high-profile horse. The commentator might have said, oh, they've got a right clip here or something. There's all that information in your head that you're watching that race, and it is biased towards your interpretation of that race in the moment. But if you can take the time with a bit of the dust settling and go back and watch it and go, did they go that quick? Or, oh, maybe he didn't run that badly, actually. Maybe, or again, I mean, it's funny, isn't it? You can remember the moments that you pick up on something that kind of stick with you. And like I distinctly remember a novice hurdler called the More Mio for Emma Lavelle. Basically, it didn't even win, but I backed it each way at 33-1. Gave the odds-on favourite a cracking run, finished second. But the main reason I backed it, one, it had done a good figure, but two, if you watch a video back of its race, nobody mentioned that it made a shocking mistake halfway around, almost brings it to a standstill, runs on, really eye-catching. But again, people weren't doing eye-catcher columns. People weren't using horse trackers left, right and centre. I remember thinking, oh, okay, I've spotted something that somebody else hasn't because I've been bothered to go and play the replay back and specifically looking at this horse that I half fancy. And I think that's still an edge. That's still a massive edge. And I think people it takes a long time, doesn't it? So that's partly why people don't do it.
Is it because most people will look at the race readers, the comments, or listen to the commentary and take that as gospel?
Yeah.
Rather than actually see if they're right, because it's one person's opinion, isn't it?
Well, and that's it, isn't it? I think you've got to remember, even the betting markets is a collection of opinions. The race comments are a collection of opinions. Every tipster's got their own opinion. The trainer will have an opinion. The jockey will have an opinion. The breeder will have an opinion. I might have an opinion in a chase, and it'll be a very different opinion to someone who follows chases all year. And sometimes mine might be better because I'm approaching it fresh. So, but you're right. There's people's opinions, and they're locked in. And like you said, commentary,
Close-up comments.
Close-up comments. But also, what people will do is they will use the memory that they had of that race when they watched it live, and they won't go back and check it. And I'm no psychologist or scientist, but there's been enough studies to suggest that memory is pretty unreliable. So yeah, I think it pays to go back and go, actually, you know what? I'm going to go back. What is my opinion on this horse or this race? Write the opinion down, go back, check if you're right in the cold light of day. And like I said, but it is the most time-consuming part of it, and that's probably why people don't do it as much.